Okay, so as we do our inner work, whether we call it healing, becoming conscious, the spiritual journey, we, at some point, each one of us has to come to a place of recognizing that I have an inner victim and an inner victimizer. And to see how we it's like we're a pinball between the two, going back and forth between victim, victimizer, the duality, the swinging of the pendulum back and forth, and how we need to recognize those parts of ourselves and watch the way we've been swinging back and forth, and seeing the places where we get really identified with one part, and then there's where we need to work with that. And I think the inner victim is actually very important, because even the victimizer often feels internally like I'm a victim. Okay? So when we feel victimized or traumatized or wounded or rejected, or something has happened, we felt betrayed. If we are truly working with that, with the emotions and the thoughts and all the things going on internally, we'll come to a place naturally of seeing there's other sides to the victim. We'll uncover more, especially if we've lived our life a lot around that feeling of being the victim. Some people don't feel that. They actually may be repressing that experience and trying to, like, I'm going to conquer life and mind over matter, and they're actually running away from the vulnerability. Okay, so that's a different situation, but the person who's kind of feeling over and over this feeling of feeling small and being victimized by whatever it is. So as we work with this healing process, and that we're healing the victim, we're going to see other sides of that victim. And it's different for everyone, but there's parts of where we suffer and we're in pain, where we need to see how maybe the part of us that enjoys that pain. It doesn't mean it's not painful. It doesn't mean we feel joy in that pain, but there's a part of us that likes it, or that feels there's something there that's comforting or enjoyable about that experience of being a victim. So why would the victim feel joy in that space, or feel a sense, maybe they feel a sense of power, in that? Well, when you look at what we can gain from being a victim, lots of things. We might get attention from people that we're craving more attention from. We might get sympathy that might feel like, to us, might feel like love. That's not love, but it can feel like I'm getting something that I'm craving. I might get people doing things for me because I'm helpless, in whatever situation I'm in. And so we have to really watch without judgment all the things that go on with us internally. Oh, I'm enjoying people doing things for me and I don't have to do something. Or I'm afraid to live my life fully, and I don't want anyone holding me responsible for my shortcomings, or what I'm not actually wanting to own. So that feeling of being a victim is my excuse. And how the victim can manipulate other people based on that. It's easy to emotionally manipulate people who aren't aware. When someone's aware of it, they won't fall for it. But we may play this game where we can make someone feel guilty, or kind of use a story that we know will push the button. And we push the button and we get what we want. And if we're not aware of these inner dynamics, whatever game we're playing, then we'll stay in that suffering, and we'll actually end up wasting our whole life in that place of telling ourselves these stories and lying to ourselves that we're a victim. Now, with that said, it's very important to work with the victim without judgment and allowing that aspect of us to live. That's why I love the Dalian method so much, because it gives us a way to access those parts and allow them to be lived and feel the emotions and the thoughts and see, oh, wow, I see that this is a story that I've been telling myself. I see that this is how my ego has been staying alive through this, where I felt this was my identity and I didn't want to let it go because I didn't know who I was, but now I can let it go because I worked deeply with that part and I allowed it to surface fully. And now I can let it go. And this takes time. In my experience, it does take time. There's different layers and different things to see. And if we're afraid to make a mistake or, ooh, I can't see something that I don't like about myself, then we won't grow, because everyone passes through this in some way at some point in their journey. No one gets out of the ego games that we have to see, that we've been playing with ourselves, because that's kind of the human journey, right? This is the process of becoming conscious. It's not just about, I'm just going to like raise my vibration and not have to see these unconscious things. This is the work. But the thing is the pain of seeing something, oh my God, I've been lying to myself, I've been manipulating, I've been doing this thing. And so, yeah, that's painful. And that's part of that pain is necessary, because it's how we open our heart, by feeling the pain of having closed ourselves off. But that pain is temporary compared to the pain of suffering, because the pain of seeing something, how we've been lying to ourselves, or the games we've been playing, is temporary, because then we'll be able to let it go and we'll feel liberated, ultimately liberated from that. And then we can grow from it and learn from it and move on to the next thing. So don't be afraid to look at your inner victim, inner victimizer, whatever it is, and start paying attention to these things. And if you need to, use the Dalian method to work with the emotions, face them directly, so you don't have to stay in this game your whole life. And then you won't be able to find your gifts and live your creativity and open your heart to people, and most of all to yourself. Thank you for watching.